Still, it didn't mean for him to be killed.
The family of the man killed by a Johns Hopkins student is questioning his death. Donald Rice was killed when the student slashed him with a samurai sword. Police originally said the student heard a noise in the garage and went to investigate, and that's where he found Rice. But now they're saying police got a report of a suspicious person near the home. They alerted the students and checked the home with them and found nothing. But then on his way back into the house, one of the students spotted Rice crouching against a fence between the garage and the home. He stood over him with the sword, yelling for his roommates to call police. The student says that's when Rice lunged at him and he struck him with the sword. Attorney Steve Allen joins us this morning to reevaluate the new evidence. Good morning.
Good morning, Patrice.
All right, we had you in here earlier this week, and you said at that point it seemed a clear case of self-defense. Given the new evidence, is it still just as clear a case of self-defense?
A person has a right to defend himself. If the police believe that Mr. Rice lunged at the Hopkins student, then under those circumstances, the student had a right to use reasonable force to protect himself. Now here, there's only evidence of one blow. Had he hit him twice with the sword, be an entirely different situation. But the evidence is that he hit his arm, slashed his body, which would be consistent with a defensive blow to protect himself.
The family might argue that could be the guy could have had his hands up, blocking to say, oh, I'm crouching down. You've got this sword. I've got my hands up to defend against you, and not necessarily a lunging. But at this point, it's a student said versus what a dead man is going to say.
Well, that's right.
Say.
But the police will look at the evidence. They'll look at the blood splatter. They'll look at the where he was located and the circumstances. The fact that he directed people to call 911 is consistent with he wasn't being the aggressor. He was merely trying to stabilize the situation.
Okay, and let me ask you, does he have a right to do that? The police were there, had checked the home. The guy happens to go back out on his own and notice the guy crouching against the fence. He wasn't in the middle of stealing something that didn't seem like, or it wasn't in the middle of coming at him. He's crouched against the fence. Does the homeowner then become a kind of vigilante if he stands there over him saying, I'm going to keep you here until police come? Is that his right to do that?
Yeah, he's on his property.
Okay.
He wasn't off his property. Now, if the gentleman, Mr. Rice, had gotten up and moved away, the homeowner would not have had a right to follow him, to chase him, or to attack him, to keep him there. The real issue the police have to decide is, did the homeowner have a reasonable belief that he was in danger? If he did, he'd have a right to protect himself.
Is it a reasonable belief to think that you're in danger if there's a person on your property, regardless of what else is going on? They don't belong there. They're on your property. You have a right to be afraid and wonder why they're there and think you're in danger.
Outside the house, you got to see what they're doing.
Okay.
If they're on your property but they're moving away from you, you're not in danger. In the house, you'd have no duty to retreat. Outside the house, you would, unless you're being attacked. Now, what makes this case different? If the fella had a kitchen knife, I don't think we'd be getting all the publicity.
It's still the sword.
It's the fact that it's a samurai sword and all of the images that are created by the sword.
Police say they don't think that the student intended to kill or went out there with any malice or anything like that. Are prosecutors likely to just go with what the police are saying and let this be a done case, or could they? Or are they likely to say, we're going to look at this more and we might do something different?
Ultimately, it's the prosecutor's decision, but the fact that we're hearing so quickly from the police that they believe that the student was just defending himself suggests that law enforcement has already made a decision, or at least a tentative decision, barring somebody saying, I saw this, that's not how it happened.
Okay.
I would not expect the student to be charged. It's a very unfortunate circumstance, but there's no indication that he was being the aggressor. You may question whether he should have been looking for the individual on his property, but he had a right to be there, and he had a right to make preparations so that if he was attacked, he would be safe.
All right, Steve, thank you so much. Coming up in our 7 o'clock hour, a deadly stretch of roadway. What's being done to make Route 32 safer?
You have to deteriorate the quality of the skin, and it's layers and layers of alcohol-based makeup, and they paint my teeth with this brown paint.
And next, we know her as the eye candy from the Transformer film. So why are filmmakers now trying so hard to ugly up Megan Fox? We'll tell you coming up in the lowdown. 6:52 is the time. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.